Identify between three different transformations. Okay, so a transformation, or in this case, a rigid transformation, because you will learn that there is a difference between a rigid transformation and just a transformation. Okay, so a rigid transformation is a transformation of the plane that preserves size, shape, distance, and angle measure. So it's a transformation of the plane that preserves size, shape, distance, and angle measure. Okay? The three types of transformations are, or the three types of rigid transformations, let me say that, are, the first one is a translation. Okay? The first one is a translation. The second one is a reflection. And the third one is a rotation. So a translation, a reflection, and a rotation are the three types of rigid transformations. Okay? They are the three types of rigid transformations. Translation, reflection, rotation. And remember, all I need you to do for today is understand the difference between the three. Okay? And be able to identify them, not anything else. We will actually get into what each of them does, how they move, and be able to actually move them next week. We will take a day for each one. Okay? Yes? Yes. Maybe. Maybe not. Who did I allow to use it today?
I have your cord.
Maybe I do too. You have a cord, right?
I have a cord.
Okay. So try that. All right. So a translation is the first one we come to. A translation is like a slide. Okay, you're sliding up, down, left, or right. Or sometimes we can slide both down and left, or down and right, or up and right, or up and left, okay? So it doesn't just have to move in one direction, but it is a slide. All right, so if I have a triangle here, and this triangle is triangle A, B, C. Let's see.
You made it.
There we go. Now they perfect. Look, I'm learning.
I did that.
You gotta hold it down.
You gotta go in forward.
Okay? So if this, this has to be done in vowels. So if I have something like this, and this is my triangle, this would be triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. And you can see that the only thing that happened here is it slid to the right. So it was a translation to the right. Okay?
I don't do this.
Just wait a second. Okay? Everybody good so far? A slide. I move. Okay? Say if I'm standing here,
But it's still the same.
it's exactly the same. But is it in the same exact place?
No.
No. That's all it is.
But that's a trend.
That's a translation. That's a slide. So say I'm standing right here. okay? And I move this way.
Translation.
Did anything happen to me? Did I change? No. What changed about me? My position, and that's it. Okay? That's a slide.
Well, I mean,
That's a
like,
translation.
What's the point?
You'll see. Just wait. Okay? All right. The next thing we have is a reflection. Okay? When you think about a reflection, you probably
Opposite.
think about a mirror, right? It is like a flip. I'm gonna write mirror. So mirror shows me your reflection, correct? All right. So I'm gonna bring this triangle down here now, maybe. It'll let, oh no, I don't wanna bring both of them. Maybe not. I was trying to be techie, but I'll just redraw it.
Wait, you drew that circle on the top? I mean, the triangle?
Yeah, I drew it. Ah, I did it again!
So this one would be like almost upside down.
No, I need a cut. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that. Okay, so if this is my triangle, this is A, B, C. Okay, the only difference here
Is your points.
when I reflect is gonna be my points. That's it. So if I draw my triangle, it may not be perfect because I am freehanding this. Okay, but if I draw my triangle, this is gonna be A prime, this is going to be C prime, and this is going to be B prime. So do you see the only differences are the bottom 2 points? And the reason why the top point doesn't change is because it doesn't have anything to change with, right? So the position changes, yes, yes, Kate.
Never mind that answer. I was coming to ask if it was like, what if it was an equilateral thing at the bottom?
It'll just still flip,
Yeah.
okay?
I was thinking it was just because it wasn't equal.
Equal.
So.
All right. I have, the next thing would be a rotation. A rotation is the same as a turn. Okay, a turn.
So this would be
Okay,
like
so
sideways.
If I have- if I have a triangle like this,
Is it always going to be about triangles?
nope, it can be other shapes. So my triangle is here of ABC. When I rotate it, it remains the same size and same shape. But this would be like A prime here, B prime here, and C prime here. Okay? So that would be the way that I turn it. Okay? Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay. So transformations in the coordinate planes. Okay? A transformation, that's what's going in my first little line there. A transformation is a change in the
Side.
position. It can be size, but we're not dealing with size right now. Size or shape. That's what a transformation can be. But everything we're dealing with right now will create something that is the same size and the same shape. Okay? The original figure is called the pre-image. Okay? The original figure is called the pre-image.
I definitely would have never guessed that.
The resulting or the new figure is called the image.
Wow.
Okay? A transformation maps or moves. Okay? It's okay, I'll pick it up. Maps or moves the pre-image to the image. Okay? Arrow notation, or just a little arrow, is used to describe a transformation. And primes, this little mark, are used to label the image. Okay?
Hey, what does primes mean?
That's that little tick mark that I'm putting.
I know, like, what does it mean?
It just means that it's a copy of what was there.
So
Like
if we would copy the prime, would it be double prime or would it just stay prime?
It would be double prime, yes. And we will get to those. Not today.
Does it like keep going adding one or does it multiply by 2?
It keeps going adding one.
Okay.
Usually when you get past like a double prime, they may change the letters on it. But that's like for like next week and the week after, okay? All right, so if I look here, the pre-image is, remember, that's where we start. So if I started on triangle ABC, the image is where I end up. So that's triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Okay, A prime, B prime, C prime. Right, the next thing just goes over those transformations one more time. So a reflection. A reflection is a flip. It's a transformation across a line. That line is called the line of reflection. Each point and its image are the same distance from the line of reflection. So here, this line is considered the line of reflection because both of them are the same on each side of that line. Okay? The next thing is a rotation. A rotation or a turn is a transformation about a point P. That point P is called the center of rotation. The main thing that we'll be focused on right here, this is that center of rotation. Most of the time, our center of rotation is going to be 0, 0, or the origin. Okay, that's going to be our center of rotation in 8th grade. When you get up to geometry, it can be anywhere. Okay, most of the time, our line of reflection is going to be an x-axis or a y-axis. That's going to be our line of reflection, but that doesn't mean that that's the only lines of reflection. And then our last thing is a translation. A translation is a slide, is a transformation in which all points of a figure move the same distance in the same direction. So same distance, same direction. Okay? Any questions on that? All right. Let's go ahead and look at exercise 1. Identify the transformation here. So all I'm doing is I need to first identify the pre-image, identify where it goes, and say how it goes there. So what is the pre-image here? Is it blue or red?
Blue.
Blue. The reason how I know is because of the prime marks. Prime marks is always the image. So this is a what? It's a rotation. It is a rotation, okay? And I'm rotating from this blue to the red, okay? So I would say A, B, C. I would have an arrow, and then I would have A prime, B prime, C prime. That's how I write it out with arrow notation, okay? All right, let's look at B. What kind of transformation is taking place on B?
Translation.
It's a reflection. The reason why it's a reflection is because look at the points. Look at G and F. They're in D and E for that matter. Compared to D, E, F, G primes. They're opposite, right?
Yep.
So this is a reflection. And I'm reflecting this way. And I'm reflecting over this line right here, the x-axis. So this is going to be D, E, F, G, arrow notation, and then D prime, E prime, F prime, G prime. Okay? Any questions so far? All right, let's look at C. what is my image and what is my, I'm sorry, what is my pre-image and what is my image? Pre-image is blue. Okay, what is taking place here?
Oh, a translation.
This is a translation. This is what I mean by more than one translation can take place. So you see that this is moving down and to the what?
Right.
Right.
That's why it's not a reflection.
Yeah, and the reason why it's not a reflection is because are they opposites?
No.
Are my letters opposite? No. So this is going to be MNOP translates to M prime, N prime, O prime, P prime. Okay? What about D? What's my pre-image? Blue to red. What's happening there?
Rotation.
A rotation. Okay, oh, sorry. So this is, it is a rotation. It is X, Y, Z, rotates to X prime, Y prime, Z prime. Okay, any questions on that? All right, look at E. What is happening to E? It's a what?
It's reflected.
It's a rotation. Reflection, my shapes have to be going, they would be facing each other. You see how this is like actually moving and rotating that way? It's turning, it's a turn. Okay, what about F? A translation. Okay, we'll just say it's going this way. So it's a translation. Okay? Let's go ahead and go to the next page. And let's look at the examples. This is why a coordinate plane is so important. This and what we're going to be doing next week. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, I know I go a little overboard with my colors and I change colors a lot, but I am asking you to use two different colors here. I'm going to ask you to use one color for the pre-image and one color for the image. Okay? So a figure has vertices at A, 1, negative 1, B, 2, 3, and C, 4, negative 2. I want to go ahead and plot those points. So go ahead and plot those points for me. And label them. Okay? And then you can go ahead and connect the dots. Once I have the first one drawn out, I'm going to go ahead and switch my color, and I'm going to keep reading. After a transformation, the image of the figure has vertices at A prime, negative 1, 1, negative 1, B prime, negative 2, 3, and C prime, negative 4, negative 2. Now I'm going to go through and plot those points. So I'm going to plot a point at negative 1, negative 1. Remember, I have to label it. A prime, negative 2, positive 3, that's going to be B prime, and negative 4, negative 2, that's going to be C prime.
It's reflection.
Okay, so I have my two shapes, and what do I have going on there?
Reflection.
It is a reflection. Okay. Does anybody know what the line of reflection is?
The y-axis.
The y-axis. Does everybody see that? If you don't, it is okay. Just asking. Okay? But that is where my shapes reflected over. Any questions so far? Okay. Let's look at B. Is everybody finished with A? Okay, let's look at B. Same thing. I'm going to ask you to use two colors. A figure has a vertices at E2, 0, F2, negative 1, G4, negative 1, and H4, 0. Let's go ahead and plot those points. So I'm plot a point at 2, 0. Make sure it's labeled. 2, negative 1, 4, negative 1, and 4, 0. after a transformation, the image of the figure has vertices at E prime 0, 2, F prime 1, 2, G prime 1, 4, and H prime 0, 4. So we're going to go ahead and plot these points. So 0 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 4, and 0 and 4. Okay. So what took place here? A rotation. Okay, so I rotated from here to here. Any questions? Now, it's much easier if as you're going through it and plotting your points, you label your points. Because when we start doing this for real and you have to do a rotation and you don't have points labeled, you won't know which way it went. Okay? All right, let's look at C. Once again, we're going to use 2 colors. Okay, so a figure has vertices of x, -1, 1, y, 1, 4, and z, 2, and 2. Let's go ahead and plot those points. So -1, +1. I'm going to mark that with an X, 1 and 4. I'm going to mark that with Y, and 2 and 2. I'm going to mark that with Z. Okay? I'm going to change my color, and it says after transformation, the image of the figure has vertices at X prime, -3, -1. Y prime, -1, 2, and Z prime at 0, 0. That is supposed to be a Y prime. Okay, so X prime, I'm going to go to -3, -1. Y prime is going to be -1, +2. And Z prime is going to be 0, 0, which is our origin. Okay, and there I go. So I have my 2 triangles. What took place here?
Translation.
A translation. Okay, and you went down to the left. All right, do I have any questions? All right, so what I want you to do is you are going to be doing the odd numbers on the next 2 pages. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, and 17.